Hello, and welcome to the registration video for rising 10th graders. My name is Mr. Walton, and I'm going to walk you through the registration sheet from start to finish, hopefully answering questions that you have along the way, and maybe giving you a start to the process that you can follow up with your counselor on if you have any questions. So the screen that you're seeing right now on the screencast is the homepage for what's called Family Connection, which is the Naviance website's main page. So the Naviance website, for most of you, the password is going to be your student ID in both areas. So you can see, for example, I went with a fake student ID right here, as you can probably tell. And what would happen is you would put that into the email and the password areas, and that would allow you to log in. If you forget your password, you can just go straight down here and you can request it, and it gets sent to your email on file. If you can't, for whatever reason, get it to your email on file, or you don't have an email on file, just reach out to your counselor and they should be able to help you out. But basically what that's going to do is that is going to take you into a page that looks like this. So this is the traditional Naviance Family Connection front page. That's the student end of the program, and you can see the traditional tabs: the courses, the colleges, the careers, the About Me, and the My Planner. As always, you can go to the courses area to mess around with the course planner if you want to go beyond just this year and look into sort of 3-year plans for the rest of the way. You would just go into courses, as you can see here, and then you would go into Manage My Course Plans. If you have one in progress, you can also go to View My Current Multi-Year Plan as well. So feel free to do that, bookmark some interesting courses, all kinds of stuff. But for right now, we're going to go back home, and you can see that the task is right here that we're going to access. Real quickly, though, before we do that, just the document library over here might be helpful as well. What the document library does is this is kind of where we archive all of our paperwork. So the 2018 registration paperwork is going to be right here, and you can see a variety of departments have put their paperwork on. And what you can do is you can click View, and View will pull up a PDF or a Word doc, and in the case of a couple of the programs, a DocX video. So you can sort of click on those, get some more information. We'll be adding stuff to this continually, even after this video has been taped. So you'll see for example, the course guide and stuff like that added to it. So just some good stuff to help you get some more information about specifically what the classes are that you're going to be taking. So let's go back home again, and let's click on the 10th grade registration sheet link. And you can see it takes you to this page, at which point you're going to hit Complete a Survey. And Complete a Survey takes you in to the full page right here. Now, one thing that's going to be important to know is that once you click that link is officially off of your main page. So you will not see it in that blue area anymore. It will be housed forever and ever, and we'll show you this at the end, but it will be in the About Me area, and then it will be in the Surveys to Take area. So it will look a little bit differently when you go into the About Me, which we'll show at the end, but that is where to start if you're looking for it and it's not on the main page anymore. It's in the About Me area and to the left-hand side. So the first couple screens are pretty easy. I'll kind of walk through these quickly. Entering your name is pretty self-explanatory. Just do remember to do your first and your last name. As much as possible, also try to load in your full name. So even if you go by a nickname, make sure that you go by your full name as it would be in eSchool. Your email address could be your email, either your school one or a personal one, or a parent email, just whatever is going to be the easiest email to get in touch with you if we have questions about your schedule, or say you made a mistake or you picked something you couldn't. It's a way for us to get in contact with you if we do not have you in school that day, or if we're trying to get you quickly. Putting down the name of the parent or guardian with whom you discussed your classes, this is basically the signature page. So just keep in mind that by typing this in, you're basically indicating to us that you have talked to someone about your courses that would count as the adult. So if you type that in and you ended up not talking to that person and submitting it, obviously that's going to be kind of an embarrassing conversation for you, because we'll be able to pull this up and say, hey, listen, your name is in here as the person with whom your son or daughter talked about their registration sheet. If you end up not submitting this on time, this will read selected by counselor, and that will mean that we went ahead and picked your classes because you did not meet the due date. So number 4 just asks if you plan to shadow a CTC program next year. You didn't this year, but you're thinking about doing it. That's the Career and Technology Center. We're going to go ahead and snooze that. And the Career and Technology Center has about 22 different programs. What you would do is you would need to indicate to your counselor you were interested in shadowing, which would mean going over there for a half day. And in that half day, you would see the program, talk to the people involved, and decide if you wanted to apply for the program for your 11th and 12th grade year. 5 continues on that. That's for students that this year in their 9th grade year did shadow and apply to a CTC program. And that's for folks that went over and maybe they spent a day in the welding program or the teaching academy or auto tech or any of a variety of programs. There's a ton of other ones. It does say to remember to pick 8 classes because you don't know if you're going to get into the program or not. So we just want to make sure you have 8 classes on your schedule and 2 alternates just to be sure. And then what we'll do is we'll drop the extras when you're accepted to the program. So it's sort of no harm, no foul. Number 6 just asks you, did you fail a graduation requirement in 9th grade? If that's the case, that's sort of a reminder for you to re-pick that class in the academic electives area, which will be down here. You're not going to be picking it in the main area, but you're going to be picking it on top of your grade level choice. So let's get kind of into the required areas. We made it as easy as possible because what you're going to be able to do is just pick from a preset list. So you can see English couldn't be any more self-explanatory. You either pick an honors or standard. For the sake of this, let's just go ahead and put that in there. That's going to count as choice 1 of your 8 choices. So far so good. 1 of 8 taken care of. You have to pick an English. Biology is going to be the same thing. Every single 10th grader is going to need to take that because of the MISA exam, which every student has to sit for in 10th grade. And what you are going to do is you're going to pick one level or the other. So for the first one, we picked honors. I'm going to go ahead and pick the standard level right here, and boom, just like that, we have 2 of our 8 classes picked. Social studies. You can see there are more choices involved right here. Some of the choices are going to apply to IB only. That is the American history choices. For non-IB students, those classes are going to be taken in the 11th grade year. Ditto with the American studies choices virtual in school, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So if you are going into IB, you're going to pick either AP US history or the American studies to honors class. We're probably American Studies, the virtual in-school version, is not going to be a good fit for you. That is a class that's a virtual class, but you take it during the physical school day in a computer lab. It is brand new. It is going to be offered as choices for students that may be interested in that, but keep in mind it is not totally virtual. You will need to go to that class every single day in the building. It's just a virtual version of doing it instead of a classroom instruction. With that being said, this is going to be for a choice for IB students only. I would definitely talk to Mrs. McBroom before you pick this. The more traditional version is the American Studies 2 honors and then the AP US. For students that are not IB, your choices are going to be AP World History, Modern World Honors, and Modern World Standard. They do not have a Modern World virtual in-school version yet, so you're going to be taking the classroom version no matter what. So go ahead and pick whatever you want. Because we've done an honors and a standard level class, I'm going to go ahead and pick an AP just to show what each of those looks like. So right there, pretty much everybody, actually not even pretty much, everybody is going to have 3 choices picked for them in terms of classes for next year. So 3 of your 8 are picked. Now, a 4th one is going to come from the math area. We did this one as a box select area because you can technically double up. You certainly do not need to, but if you're doubling up, here's where you're going to pick both of the classes. So say, for example, you wanted to double up in Algebra 2 and Pre-Calculus, you would simply go like that, making sure to note that you now have 5 of your 8 choices picked up. Another thing to be aware of is that if you're taking the Algebra 1 year-long class, even though it is 1 checkbox, it counts as 2 choices, so you also now have 5 choices. But if you're just taking 1 math a year, say for example, you're totally okay with just moving on to the Algebra 2 standard level next year, you'd pick that and you would now have 4 of your 5 choices. So go ahead and pick whatever math is most comfortable. For the sake of showing the most variety of options, I'm just going to pick Algebra 2 honors just to put a math on the board. And so that gets you a 4th class right there. So at this point, you should probably count up how many you have, whether you have 4, whether you have 5, and continue on. So now the next box talks about health and fitness, foundations of tech, and foundations of computer science. If you haven't taken those or you are looking to take those in the building, you're going to go ahead and pick those classes. So there is a virtual version of it as well, but you are not going to select the virtual here. What you're going to do is you're going to pick your 8 classes in the building, and then at the bottom you are going to hit the I want to sign up for a virtual class button, and that will sort of trigger us to make a list, and then you will just need to make sure that you're paying attention to the deadlines for signing up for virtual classes. But if you plan on taking it in the building, you're going to pick one of these courses. For right now, I'm going to leave that one alone so I can maximize some other stuff, but just remember that if you're picking the health and fitness choice, that is only one choice. Those two combined equal a class. You can also, if you took, say, Foundations of Technology, but you're interested in taking Foundations of Computer Science as well, you can certainly do that. There's no rule that says you can't do that or vice versa. So just know, though, that before you graduate, you're going to need one of these 2 classes as well as the health and fitness option. Okay, so moving on, we have an area called academic electives, exactly what you'd think. This is where you are going to pick classes that are the traditional 4 subject areas, your social studies, your English, your math, and your science, the AP classes, and sort of just general academic electives that are there. So you can see a whole list of the APs are right here. You can see that there's a bunch of different additional science classes you could take, and then a variety of classes, film study, journalism, local history. It's also where the retakes are. So if you are going to be retaking English 9 or government, that's where you'll find them. For our students that have applied to and been accepted to ROTC that are going to the Naval Science Class 10, you could pick that class right here as well. So feel free to pick any there. I'm going to go ahead and pick one just to kind of show it. So I have 4 classes picked already. Let's see that maybe I want to take AP Physics. I'm going to go ahead and pick that, and that gets me to a 5th class. You can see some of these things have what the prerequisites are. For example, prereq means you have to have taken the class and passed it before you go into the class. So if you're taking AP Environmental, for example, the bio that you're taking would be scheduled as well. It would just be the bio would be the first semester, AP Environmental would be the second. Something called a co-req, and a co-req just means that you can take the class while also taking the other class. So you can take AP Physics 1 as long as you're taking Algebra 2 either during that semester or have taken it before. So moving on, we've got the world language area. You can see that there's Spanish, French, Latin, and sort of making its return, a couple years of German right here. Feel free to pick whatever you want. If you're looking at a 4-year college, remember you need to take at least 2 years of world language. Some colleges require 3, probably about 25% of them. So just make sure that you're paying attention if you're applying to a school that requires 3 years of world language and getting the credits accordingly. You'll also see here that the virtual in-school is available here. That is a Spanish or Latin class that is taken, as I said, as one of your classes during the day, but in a virtual version. So in other words, you're sitting in a classroom, but with a virtual screen, not a traditional classroom environment. So there will not be a world language teacher in there. You'll be working independently. Couple things to keep in mind is that AP French does count as 2 separate classes. It is the only one. So every other choice you make here counts as 1. AP French, though, does count as 2 choices if you go that route. So for the sake of mine, I'm going to go say I'm in Spanish 4, and I'm going to pick that. So I now have 6 classes chosen. I still have 2 more to go. You can see now we get into a couple different other areas. Here's where you'll find the business, the industrial arts, and the technology. That's your woodworking, your computer classes, your business classes. Anything with a star next to it means that it counts for your financial literacy requirement. So you take it, it can also count for your financial literacy requirement. You don't certainly need to take that going into 10th grade, but if you're a person that likes to check stuff off your box graduation requirement wise, or someone who just has an interest in the class, is a great thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Microsoft Cert, for example, for mine. So I'm now at 7 of my 8 classes. I have 1 left, and I can shop a little bit now. I can find the child development curriculum here, the agriculture curriculum in this area. Certainly could pick a class there. Our visual and performing arts, there's a plethora of choices there. You could pick anything in there at the different levels. You can see it goes from visual arts into performing arts. You got the dance, the theater programs, music, art, drawing and painting, photography, yearbooks in there. Some new classes like music tech and pop music are in there. And then PE has the strength training classes, team sports, football and lacrosse are in there as well, unified. Working the unified teams, sports med coaching, and then there's a new class called fitness and wellness. That is kind of the equivalent of a little bit of an entry-level strength training class for those that don't have a lot of experience with weights. It kind of is a safe place for you to be able to explore that area without maybe going into an area that is quite as with as many experienced lifters. So that should get you through that. So I'm going to pick for my last one. Let's just go ahead and say I'm going to take strength training. So that's got me to 8 classes. And it looks like the first part of the video is winding down. So I will see you for a few more minutes for part 2 of the 10th grade registration video.